Should Arbeloa be given the Real Madrid job? Arbeloa has recently got his most impressive result since being the Real Madrid interim against the greatest manager of all time in many people's eyes, beating Pep Guardiola 3-0, whilst having the likes of Mbappe, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Carreras all not available. A Federico Valverde masterclass to say the least. It's still uncertain whether or not who's going to be the Real Madrid manager next season, but should it be Arbeloa is the question we'll be discussing today. Arbeloa took over on the 14th of January after Xabi Alonso had been dismissed as club manager. His first game was up against second division club Albacete in the Copa del Rey, a game where Madrid were expected to ease by in. This was the chance for Arbeloa to have the perfect start as Real Madrid manager. However, Madrid somehow lost this game 3-2 despite fielding a strong 11. A nightmare debut for Arbeloa as manager, but he did come out after the game saying he's at fault, not something we often see from managers when they lose. He shifted the blame away from the players onto himself, which I personally really like. Real Madrid then bounced back strongly after a shock defeat to Albacete with 3 wins in a row, including a 6-1 thrashing against Monaco and 2 comfortable 2-0 wins against Levante and Villarreal. He then went on to lose to Benfica 4-2 in a must-win game for a top 8 finish, with Trubin scoring a last-minute header famously. Again, he came out after the game saying the blame was on him. Maybe this isn't something you like, but for me personally, I'd love to have a manager at my club who defends the players and accepts blame when he's in the wrong. I've seen multiple managers this season alone blame the conditions of the pitch, the weather, the defensive setup from the other team, but this is refreshing to see. And he did get his revenge on Benfica in the end and had Vinny's back in that unfortunate incident that's currently on trial. Since Arbeloa has been in charge, he's won 10 games and lost 4. Not a bad return, but at the same time, not really Real Madrid standards. However, you mustn't forget he's an interim. Now at one point, he managed to reclaim first position in La Liga with Real Madrid, but they're now 4 points behind Barcelona after 2 shock losses in a row against Osasuna and Getafe at home, where the fans went crazy and started booing after full time. However, in what's arguably been the biggest game of the season for Real Madrid in terms of context, Arbeloa side thrashed Manchester City. Keep in mind, early in the season, these two sides met, and Madrid only had Mbappe out. This time, they had loads more players missing, as mentioned earlier in the video, and they managed to win 3-0. This was a masterclass performance from everyone involved. The players, the manager, and I'll tell you why Arbeloa deserves a lot of credit. He put Valverde in a wing-back role at times to double up on City's biggest threat on the ball in the starting 11, Jeremy Doku. He had a field day the last time at the Bernabeu. This time, he had no joy. Valverde was following him everywhere, then exploding up the pitch for counter-attacks or box crashing. He scored a hat-trick and even allowed Trent Freedom to drift off at points into the middle. Madrid could have won 4-0, but Vinny did unfortunately miss a penalty, but it was still a good performance from him, and he looks much happier under Arbeloa too and playing better in my opinion. Now, should Arbeloa be given the job after that 3-0 City win? Of course morale will be high, the way he defends his players is good, but I don't know if he's ready for the job just yet. This is a big task, the biggest job in the world, in world football, and we saw Alonso couldn't handle it. He's had a good start, but also inexperience has shown in the losses against Osasuna and Getafe. I think in the future he'll potentially be ready, but if I was Madrid, I wouldn't let this one game impact me, because football shouldn't be based off recent emotions, but rather looking at every result in previous weeks and months as a whole. However, if he goes on to win the Champions League or La Liga, he would fully deserve the job, but will he be able to do so with the way things are going? I'm not sure. Let me know what you all think. Does Arbeloa deserve the Real Madrid job and become the next manager of Real Madrid, or is it too soon? That's the end of Ads Talk Sport, everyone. Thank you for watching.